My dad was secretly in love with me. Hi, my name is Michaela and I'm 18 years old. Now, I know this story is really crazy, but you're just gonna have to hear me out and be the judge. So, growing up, I always had an overprotective father. He made it very clear that he didn't want me wearing any makeup, he didn't want me having any boyfriends and to focus on school, never wear revealing clothing, and to be home by 7 p.m. Which I thought was pretty unfair, but he wasn't necessarily strict about anything else. My mom died when I was about 6 years old, so my dad always compared me to her. He would say things like, "You look just like your mother. You got your mother's looks. You're going to be so gorgeous when you grow up." And he said these things to me when I was younger, not when I was 18 now. But yeah, he was also very excessively clingy. He would always dress me, bathe me, feed me, text me throughout school. He would just never leave me alone. Until one day I got really sick of it. I got sick of all shenanigans and I confronted him about it. I told him to let me breathe and give me space. I was around 16 years old at this time. He said, "Why? You're my precious little baby." And I told him, "I'm 16 now. I can do all these things by myself." He gave me the silent treatment for literally about a week, but he agreed. I remember one time I was looking for something. I don't really remember what it was, but I went into my dad's room and I kid you not, he had photos of me everywhere. Like, I kid you not, he had an entire photo collage of 12 photos on his wall. On each wall. And there were 4 walls, mind you. It was so weird and made me uncomfortable. Some of the photos of when I was wearing a blank. I told my best friend about it and she said it was extremely weird, as if he was in love with you or something. And I said, I know, I don't know what to do. She said just to leave it alone and come to her place often, and I did. So months later, I eventually got a new boyfriend, and his name was Michael. And I wanted to introduce him to my dad, but what he said next was really horrible. So I surprised my dad by bringing my new boyfriend Michael over to dinner to introduce them, and my dad absolutely flipped for no reason. He literally called my boyfriend a bunch of racial slurs and called him a darky and told him to get out of his house. I thought this was absolutely horrible and I apologized to Michael. I didn't talk to my dad for a really long time, but one day he barged into my room drunk. I can't necessarily state what he did because it's too graphic for TikTok, but it's up on my YouTube channel now, so if you want to hear the uncensored version, it's definitely on there. But to sum it up, he made me extremely uncomfortable. And he literally said that I remind him so much of my mother, that it's hard for him to control himself. I was extremely uncomfortable, and I told my best friend about this, and I literally lived with her until senior year. I haven't talked to my dad since then, but he's tried to contact me a couple of times. Should I contact him? Am I the a-hole for exposing my best friend's photos? Hi, my name is Tiffany, and I'm currently 16 years old in high school. So when I was a freshman, I was a complete total loser, but when sophomore year came, I slowly started becoming one of the popular girls in school. Every boy wanted me, but I declined. But somehow I met this girl Eden along the way. We were at a party and she was just staring at me the entire time until she walked up to me and asked me to be friends. She gave me really weird, shady vibes, but I decided to accept her as my friend anyways. Me and her clicked well for whatever reason, and we had so many similarities, but it also seemed kind of plain and like she was just saying she had those things in common for whatever reason. But anyways, I let it slide, but I noticed that she dressed like me over time. When I first met her, she looked pretty plain. It looked like her mother dressed her, but I bought clothes at Forever 21. Slowly, she started doing the same and dressing her hair like mine and wearing makeup like me. It was kind of weird. But one day, there were flowers left at my locker, and there was a note as well, and I wondered who it was from. So there was actually flowers on my locker, and I was wondering who it was. And it was from the hottest guy in school, Kyle. Kyle was the quarterback of the football team. He also participated in lacrosse and soccer. He was just amazing and so sweet and what every girl wanted. And the fact that he was asking me out, amazing. So I decided to accept his proposal and go out with him. The first 2 months was a dream, but around the 3rd month, he would start becoming controlling and abusive, verbally and physically. He would want to control what I wore in front of his parents and sometimes at parties, saying how I looked like a blank. I tried confronting him on this problem, but he said if I had a problem with it, I could just break up with him, but I obviously didn't want to do that because I thought that I loved him. So one time we were just sitting at the park and I noticed his phone was buzzing a lot. I asked him who it was and he said it was probably his dad or something like that, which sounded unusual, so I decided to do a bit of investigating. So I decided to investigate his phone a little bit. I kid you not, I saw so many photos, so many, about like 50 from all different kinds of genders. Inappropriate photos, if you know what I mean. But they were all faceless. But there was this one feminine body who wore red lingerie with glitter on it. And I couldn't figure out who it was, but she was definitely a pattern in his phone. I didn't say anything to him about it. After that, I had left and cried and went home and I called Eden over. I told Eden everything and she just looked in shock. She told me how horrible this was and that I shouldn't have to go through that. She basically comforted me the entire time. So weeks went by and it was my birthday. I had obviously broken up with Kyle, but Kyle was talking about getting back with me, so I assumed, he'd change and our relationship would progress. But one of my friends had told me that Eden had been hooking up with him behind my back, and I asked for proof. As I did that, Eden walked in. I confronted Eden about this and she said she was lying. I asked my other friend for proof and she showed me. There was a video and multiple pictures. I can't disclaim because of TikTok, but it's on my YouTube channel now. After that, I exposed the video and photos all over school. Am I in the wrong, or did I serve myself justice? Let this girl in the comments know down below.
Story time on how I got nasty with my older sister's boyfriend while she was sleeping. Okay, so boom, let's jump right into it. So I have an older sister who's 18 and I'm 16. Her boyfriend, George, let's call him George because that's his name. Well, George is 20. He is very attractive. I'm talking fine. Every time he comes over, we flirt with our eyes and whenever my sister leaves the room. And my relationship with my sister isn't bad at all. She's older than me, so she brings me places, gets me food, and helps me out with homework. Normal sister duties. So I don't have anything against her, but her man is just so fine. I just really don't care about my sister's feelings whatsoever, like at all. So after our flirting became constant between us, things got real. My sister and her boyfriend were spending the night together, but George, the boyfriend, waited for my sister to fall asleep. And when she fell asleep, things got real. George, the boyfriend, waited for my sister to fall asleep. And once she fell asleep, he came over to my room and yeah, we did the nasty. Like literally with my sister in the room next door, we literally slept together. When we were done, he went back to my sister's room and she never found out. 2 months later, they broke up because he cheated with someone else and we never seen him again. And 6 years later, my sister still doesn't know what I did. Should I tell her?
A 6th grade teacher asked your class the other day how many of them were Trump fans. And most of them not knowing what a Trump fan was and of course wanting to be liked by their teacher, they all raised their hands. Well, all except for little Johnny. The teacher looks over at little Johnny and says, "Johnny, why are you being different again?" And he says, "Well, because I'm not a Trump fan." And she says, "Well, why are you not a Trump fan?" And he says, "Because I'm a Democrat." She says, "Really, why are you a Democrat?" He says, "Well, my mom's a Democrat and my dad's a Democrat, so I'm a Democrat." She says, "Oh, really? Well, what if your mom was a moron and your dad was an idiot? What would that make you?" Johnny smiles and says, "A Trump fan."
Story time about how I came out as bi to my parents. Disclaimer, this is not my story time. It was sent to me on Instagram. By the time I was 12 years old, I definitely knew I was bi. By the time I was 14, I'd already had a girlfriend and a boyfriend, but my parents did not know any of this. When I was 15, I even had a girlfriend for a full year. She would come around the house and I would say that she was my friend. But one day my mom walks in on me and my friend making out on the bed without our shirts on. My mom was so horrified that she actually ran out of the room. Later I explained to her that we were just playing a game and that it was popular at school. I basically convinced her that I was not bi. Or at least I thought I did. Later on that day, my dad comes to my room and basically asked me if I liked girls. I swore up and down that I didn't. Then when I was 16, I found myself having 2 girlfriends, don't ask me how. Again, they would each come over and I would just say they were my friends. I thought I was home alone, so I invited my girlfriend over. We start fooling around and that's when my door opens. My dad is looking at me getting it on with another girl. Part 2 is up. My dad walks in on me while I was fooling around with the girl in bed. Mind you, I'm a girl. Disclaimer, this is not my story time. It was sent to me on Instagram. Keep in mind, I had half of my clothes on. My dad literally picked me up from the bed and threw me out of my room. Then he kicked my girlfriend out. It was definitely traumatizing. My dad called my mom and told her to rush home. They interrogated me for 3 hours. I told them I'd had girlfriends and boyfriends. They were more than shocked. They finally calmed down and I was able to go to sleep. 2 days later, my dad tells me to pack my suitcase. I asked him why, but he wouldn't tell me. Then he drove me to a camp that promises to help your children who are bi. Instead of being afraid, I told my dad that I would try my best. I lasted about 2 days there. They basically made us do Bible study, and I was made to feel like a perv. So I packed my little suitcase and I left. So of course, I packed my suitcase, climbed 2 walls, and I was free. That's when I heard a really scary alarm. Part 3 is up. I thought I was free, but then I hear an alarm sound. That's when I heard footsteps behind me. I started running and I got to a main road. Luckily, a bus was pulling up right on time. I get on the bus and I go straight to my girlfriend's house, which was about 2 hours away. That means they would have already told my parents I had escaped. Well, when I get to my girlfriend's house, my parents are already there. But guess what? My parents weren't there to pick me up. They were there to drop off all of my things. Yep, that's right. They kicked me out of the house. Thankfully, my girlfriend's family were super cool and they let me live with them. When I turned 18, I got an apartment and a roommate. My entire family stopped talking to me. It's been 4 years since I last saw my parents. I recently got hired at my dream job, so I went to my parents' house and I told them. I also came out to them properly. At least this time I was not yelled at. I speak to my mom on the phone every now and then, but I feel like I should talk to my dad again. What do you guys think? I just want them to accept me.
So it's another day at VS, but this time it's semi-annual sale. If you've never shopped the semi-annual sale, it means that bras, panties, fragrances, clothing, swimwear, everything goes on sale at VS. Well, certain items get marked down for really good prices. But Victoria's Secret loves to plaster these signs that say $3.99, $14.99, and in very tiny letters at the bottom of the sign, it'll say the words, "and up." This means that all the panties in the bin are not $3.99. They're $3.99 and up. They can be all the way up to $7 or $10.99. Same thing for the bras. It'll say $14.99, but the most expensive bra could probably be $34.99. So this lady comes over with her bag full of sale items, full of panties, full of bras. She's too busy to be bothered with me, so I'm just rigging up her items. She's not even paying attention to the screen. Finally, I announced her total as being around like $400 or $500, and she is in shock, like, wait, what? Part 2 is coming. So I kindly explained to this lady that everything in the bin was $3.99 and up or $14.99 and up, so the prices may vary. She gets pretty annoyed. She's like, I went and picked up all this stuff, and the sign says that it's $3.99 and $14.99. That's the price I want it for. I'm not taking anything else. I'm already like, here we go. So I say, Miss, I'm really sorry about the confusion, but the prices are marked on the individual tags, despite what the sign says. I said I can go through the bras and possibly look for the ones that are $14.99 and all of the panties that are only $3.99 if that will make you happy. But no, that wasn't good enough for her. She's pretty annoyed, and of course, as per usual, she wants to speak to a manager, and I kindly tell her the sale price is a sale price. Unless it goes down, that's what it is. First, she says, I'm not going to take any of it. Delete it all. I say, okay. Then she decides, just kidding. After I've already deleted it, she wants it all again. So it's another day at VS. We had a promotion for a free bag. If you spend $75, then you get a free bag or free tote. That's something that often happens at VS. So this lady comes in and she's super excited. She's shopping around, racking up her bill so she has enough money to get a free tote. Little does she know, I'm at the register giving away my last free tote. She comes up to me like, hey girl, I got my bag full. I got my 75. I'm ready to get my tote. I'm like, I'm so sorry, miss. I actually just gave away the last one. You would have thought I just told her that I murdered a family member of hers because she was tight. And she's like, oh, really? So what are you about to give me? Because I'm spending 75 today. So what do I get for free? She's like, a shirt? A perfume? I need something. I'm not leaving without it. Like, miss, I'm sorry, we don't have it. It's up to you if you want to spend the $75, but we have no more gifts. It's while supplies last. So after debating back and forth with her, like, I'm sorry, I can't just give you a free perfume. I can't just pick a shirt off the wall and give it to you. If you look at the coupon, it's this promotion is only while supplies last. So she's like, well, can you call some of the other stores? I want to see if they have the free bags left. I'm like, sure, I mean, I guess I can call, but they're not going to let you just come to the store and get a free bag. You have to spend the money at their store. She dismissed that idea pretty quickly after she realized that she would have to go from our mall to another mall to possibly get this bag. And she didn't have any time to drive. So she just decides to refuse to leave the store until somebody gets her something, because she is just so entitled. Of course, I have to get my manager involved, and he's like, look, let's just get this lady out of the store. Give her something. What do we have back here? So I'm digging behind the register, and we just so happen to find this old tote bag, not the one that we were promoting, an old one. So she spent the 75 and got that random tote bag just to keep her quiet. So after debating back and forth with her, like, I'm sorry, I can't just give you a free perfume. I can't just pick a shirt off the wall and give it to you. If you look at the coupon, it's this promotion is only while supplies last. So she's like, well, can you call some of the other stores? I want to see if they have the free bags left. I'm like, sure, I mean, I guess I can call, but they're not going to let you just come to the store and get a free bag. You have to spend the money at their store. She dismissed that idea pretty quickly after she realized that she would have to go from our mall to another mall to possibly get this bag. And she didn't have any time to drive, so she just decides to refuse to leave the store until somebody gets her something, because she is just so entitled. Of course, I have to get my manager involved, and he's like, look, let's just get this lady out of the store. Give her something. What do we have back here? So I'm digging behind the register, and we just so happen to find this old tote bag, not the one that we were promoting, an old one. So she spent the $75 and got that random tote bag just to keep her quiet. So I'm looking at this dirty, stanky bra, and I'm like, what am I about to do? So I'm picking it up with tissue paper, I'm analyzing it, and finally I'm looking in at the date, and I see that it's an old bra that we don't even make anymore. But you know, VS will pretty much take anything back because they love to keep their customers happy. So, you know, I have to call my manager on the walkie and get his permission. He has to take a look at it, but as per usual, we took it back. And she went home with a brand new bra. And to be honest with y'all, I'm happy because that bra was filthy and dirty and smelly and she needed a new one. I said, sis, you should probably pick up a few before you go. But it is what it is. I'm happy she got a new bra, but please don't return nasty, dirty, used items. Like, it's so gross, and I hated having to deal with that when I worked at VS. If you have a question about VS, a question about my story, leave it in the comments below. Also, follow me for more VS horror stories. One time I was behind the register at Victoria's Secret. This customer walks in and immediately everybody spots her as a red flag. She's just picking up items, throwing them in her bag, not looking at sizes, not looking at colors. So everybody's like, everyone's on their walkie like, watch this customer. She's coming to the fitting room. She's headed to the cash wrap. Somebody get her. Check her ID. Get her. Get her. She has a bag full of stuff. And guess who gets her at the register? Me. So she comes to my register and she dumps out her stuff, and you know, we're having a regular conversation. Hi, how are you? Yada, yada, yada. Her total comes up to probably between $700 to $900. It was expensive. My manager is at the register next to me, talking to me on the walkie. Ashley, make sure you get that ID. Don't matter what she's using, make sure you get that ID. So I ask her for the ID because she's paying credit. Why do you need to ask for my ID? Just take it, run it. I'm like, no ma'am, I'm sorry, I need your ID for the purchase. She starts to raise her voice at me. So she's raising her voice at me, and I'm like, but I just couldn't, y'all. So I was like, I can raise my voice too. Do you want to play this game? Because I'll win, promise. And she's like, oh, well, what time do you get off work? And I'm like, I'm closing, I'm actually getting off at 11. Would you like to pick me up? And then she calls me stupid. She's like, you're fucking stupid. And I'm like, okay, you know what? I'm gonna eat that. Then she calls me a dumb bitch. Whew. So I took a deep breath. And I said, fuck you, you dumbass bitch. Your broke ass can't even afford these motherfucking clothes, and you over here trying to scam me. Fuck off my line. And honestly, me and her just started going back and forth at each other like, My manager's like, go to the back, go to the back, go to the back. I'm still cursing her out as I'm walking to the back of the store. I really thought I would get fired, but I actually didn't.